Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Metal Motorcast. Your host Dave. I got a line special guest, the Gabe Wood. How you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm good, man. So how's the weather on Kelly?
Oh, it's perfect right now. It's hot today. It was like 95 degrees and sitting by the pool and relaxing.
Nah, it's only 41 over here, man.
Sounds great.
Oh yeah. Great drag racing weather, 41 degrees.
Yeah. These cars don't seem to like that kind of weather.
They get a lot of dew on them when it's cold.
Yeah. The engines don't like that kind of stuff. Crew chiefs don't like that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I like it because I'm wearing a 20 fire suit, so I'm warm.
So, Gabe, when did you get involved in drag racing?
Well, I've been around it my whole life. My dad was on a top fuel team for the Warren Coburn Miller top fuel team when I was a kid, and so I was just kind of born and raised at the drag strip. They were on the Miller part of the Warren Coburn Miller team they owned the Famosa drag strip, and so they pretty much had the track to themselves to test and stuff. So we were just there all the time, and if we weren't there, we were at Roger Coburn's garage where the car was kept, and I grew up around it. That's all we did was watch racing, talk racing, everything. So I didn't really have a choice. It was just part of the deal. We didn't get to play normal sports, football, baseball, soccer. We just raced. So that was pretty much the start of the racing right there. When I was a kid.
So what year did you first start racing?
I first started racing cars, drag racing in 2008 was the first time I got to get behind the wheel. I started racing when I was young, racing BMX bikes. I raced for a team that raced all over the nation, and then that led into race that for quite a while, and then got into downhill mountain biking and raced that for a little bit, and just got into wakeboarding and started competing at wakeboarding and go-kart racing and motorcycle racing, and then in 2007, my dad and I were kind of always wanted to do something, and he just sent me a link. He said, "Look, check out this link." And it was a link on eBay for the Fiat that we have now, and it was in Kentucky. And he said, "What do you think about this?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so the guy had the reserve off and everything, and so we just put a price out and we bought it. And then we were so happy, but then we had to realize how we were going to get a car from Kentucky to Bakersfield. And so I gave him the money, and he flew out there and bought it and rented a U-Haul and drove it loaded in the back of the U-Haul and drove it all the way back to Bakersfield, and then we just started building it, built the car, and took us about a year to build it, and we just went racing.
So the car's been good to you?
The car's been really good to me. It's a real fun car. It's one of those cars that, other drivers will probably say that the same thing. I've driven it so much that of the other cars that I drive, this one, I could not be in it for a while and get back in it, and it just feels natural. I just know, you get to know what a race car is going to do, and you can know when it's going to make a move, or you just know how it's going to react. You know what it's going to do, and this car, I know exactly what it's going to do all the time. I say that race cars are unpredictable, so they can do anything at any moment, but I feel like I have complete control of this car all the time. So it's just one of those things. I just feel very at ease when I get in this car. Kind of like when you put on a pair of old shoes or something, you know, it fits perfect. It feels perfect, and that's how this car is for me. It just feels perfect.
Now you're running on injected alcohol, right?
Yeah, this car we have it's a it's a big block injected on alcohol.
So what kind of engine you got in that car?
We have a Chevy big block, and it's just a iron block with iron heads. And you know, when we built this car, we were on a budget, and we went out there for the first year where we were building it to every race out here, and we just wanted to. We went and looked at cars that were just kind of like our style, short wheelbase, altereds and stuff, and we wanted to see what everybody was doing and how they were doing it. And you know, there's a lot of beautiful race cars out there, and you know, and we just didn't have the money to do an aluminum block and aluminum heads and all that stuff. So my dad was an excellent engine builder. He had been building motors forever, and so he wanted to prove a point that he could build an iron block and an iron head motor that could compete with everybody else, and we did, he did, and we did, and it was just wanted to prove a point that we could build a car like that, and on a budget. You know, it still had high, you know, performance parts on it, but everything wasn't polished and stuff, and we could still compete with everybody. So that was the engine that he built, and we unfortunately blew it up a couple years ago at the Hot Rod Reunion, and it's pretty sad to see. My dad had passed away about 4 years ago, and so that was the last part, you know, the last motor that he built, and it was hard to see that one go. But we have a new one in there now, and we actually robbed the motor from the funny car and turned it into this car. So it's now in this car.
So now, Gabe, what's the quickest runtime you've had with the Fiat?
We've ran in this car. The quickest we ran an 828 in it, and we're running in this class called Nostalgia Eliminator 2, and it's an 860 index class, and we ran, you know, well, when we built the car, we planned on running it in a 960 class, and then when I was doing my licensing, and the last part of licensing is a full pass, and we went out there and it ran an 828, and we're like, okay, well, we just blew past that class, so let's go to the next class. And so we thought about even going to the 760 class with it, but we just figured it would be a lot easier on the motor if we just ran it, and if we just slowed it down and ran it in the 860 class. And so it you know, the car's certified to go a lot quicker, but we're definitely racers on a budget, so we just are running it in classes that we can afford to race, you know, on our budget, and they have plenty of races around here that we can fill our schedule up with that, you know, running in an index class like that. So it's, of course, we always want to go quicker and we want to go faster, and that's the ultimate goal in racing, is quicker and faster. But we also want to run races too, and so, you know, the faster you go, the quicker you go, the limited races that you get to go to. So, you know, Butch at Hendrick has the ANRA series out here, and he has a 4 or 5 race series he does, and then you have the March meets, and you have some of the heritage races, and so, you know, we could run probably, you know, 10, 12 races and be just in Bakersfield and never have, and the track's 15 minutes from the house, so we can be right there and have plenty of races to run. So it fulfills our needs to go racing for sure.
So did you guys run the March meet this year?
We did. It was the first race back with the new motor, and we were excited to be there for sure. We ran and we had a great time. It was challenging because we have no data on this motor. We have books and computer spreadsheets full of data on the other motor, but this is a whole new setup, and so we had nothing to go off of. We just relied on some of our friends that are tuners to help us with a tune-up on it, and had to go out there. And literally the first pass on this car was the test and tune the day before the March meet started. After, then we went into qualifying, and so we had a good problems. We were running too quick. We ran too quick all weekend, and the air was perfect, and we couldn't slow it down, and so we just had that problem all weekend. But there's a lot worse problems to have, for sure, than to run too quick.
Right. So now, back years ago when you started drag racing, were there any drivers that were inspiration to you that you watched race when you were young?
For sure, absolutely. There's, luckily when I started racing in 2008, Roger Coburn and James Warren were both still alive, and my dad and Roger were good buddies, and they, went to breakfast every morning and hung out. And Roger was building a front motor dragster at the time, and so they were building their cars. We were building our cars together, and so got to hang around Roger Coburn and James Warren. To me, are my idols for sure, and they got they were alive still, and to hang out with them and talk to them and get all their years of knowledge and stuff like that was awesome. But I've always looked up to people like the Snake, Jungle Jim, all the guys in the Smokers, the Bakersfield Smokers, the original Smokers that started the March meets and all that stuff. Wayne King, Tommy Ivo, my dad, and stuff like that. Those guys, Adam Sorkin's dad, the Surfers. Those guys were cool, man. I mean, you gotta always looked up to those guys for sure. And then as far as when I started racing, I just had some good people around me that helped me out. And, like my buddy Mike Halstead, that guy is awesome, and that's a good man right there, and he helped me out. And he's got me a couple different rides from knowing him and him having faith in me. And I looked up to, I still do look up to Bobby Cottrell. I mean, I think that guy right there is the baddest racer around.
There you go, right there. Two winners of the March meet right there.
Right? I mean, those guys, we pick Bobby's brain all the time. I mean, we text him and call him and find him at the track and just, as much as busy as that guy is, he always helps us out. And those are good people right there. I mean, that's just doesn't get much better than that. People like the new drivers, like Jack Beckman. He comes to Bakersfield a lot. He lives down south, and I've got to know him a little bit from the races. And I've picked his brain a few times, and he's always opened up and talks to me like we're good buddies, and we don't even really know each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing about drag racing. Everyone loves to help each other out.
No, that's the best thing about drag racing. I mean, you can, even competitors in our own class, even at the March meets, our mag was going out on us, and some friends of ours, Tom Martis, those guys are in our same class, and we compete against each other, and he came over and gave us his extra one and let us use it for the rest of the race. And it was just, that's, if you're at a drag race and it's nighttime and you see some lights on and people working, people just show up and just want to start helping you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all just one big family.
It is one big family, yeah. I mean, you have two families. You have your family and you have your racing family. And, I've kind of got to know that about all types of racing. We're out at the dirt track all the time, off-road racing, and my girlfriend's son races, and he's a little badass, and we're out there all the time with him, and those people are the same way. I mean, it doesn't matter really what kind of racing you're doing. Everyone's out there to have fun and help each other out.
Right. So now, what was it like getting behind the wheel for the first time in a Fiat?
It was one of those things where I'd never done it before, but I've been around it, and it got to the point where we were doing the licensing, and my dad was like, are you ready for this? I was like, yeah, I'm ready for this. And then I strapped in and sat down and got in the car, and it was time to go, and I was kind of thought to myself, like, crap, what did I get myself into? It's all fun and games when you're sitting in the garage and you're bench racing, but then all of a sudden you get behind the wheel and you're pulling up to the starting line and everybody's looking at you, and then you just have all these things going through your head about, I don't want to make a mistake, I don't want to look stupid, I don't want to wreck, I don't want to do anything wrong, I just want to go. But once I, held the trans brake down and let it go for the first time, I was instantly hooked. I knew it from the moment I let it go that I was hooked on it forever.
Right. So how long did you drive the funny car for?
We bought the funny car a couple years ago, and I actually used to drive the funny car for the previous owners and team. They were the Barretts. Jim and Alex Barrett owned the car, and Norma, his wife, and they had an established team. And Alex, I was living in Colorado, and I just moved back from Colorado, and I just happened to look on Facebook one time. I was sitting there on the patio, and I saw a post pop up, and it was from Jim Barrett, that owned the previous owner, and he made a comment about looking for a replacement driver for Alex, because Alex got a job with Schumacher Racing. He was going to work for Johnny Gray when he was still racing, and was going to go work professional and was going to be on their crew. And so I responded, and then I got a message back instantly, like a private message back from Jim, and it said, you were one of our top 3 people. We just felt that we had to put this out publicly, and we want to meet up with you. And so I drove down south and Beaumont, where they live, and met with them, and had dinner and met their whole crew. And I was just blown away, because their crew is professional. They were very professional, and they're good friends with Mike Halstead, and that's how I got to know Mike, was through them. But they're wear matching crew shirts, and they have a crew night or a team night every week, and they all meet up, work on the car, and they all have their own jobs. Nobody oversteps their boundaries, and very professional. And then they gave me the opportunity to drive their car, and so I drove the car for them, and then we ended up blowing that motor up. And so then the car set for a year or so, and I still stayed part of the team. They treat me like family, and they had other race cars in their stable, and I still went with them and helped them, and we became family. And then opportunity came, and they wanted to sell the car, and they called me first, and they wanted me to have it. And so I just knew that it was one of those things, that it was meant to be. My dad always said that everybody needs to own 2 funny cars, and so there's our first one. So we had to jump on it. I don't know why everybody has to have 2 funny cars, but he said that. But now we have 1 at least. So,
wow, that's a neat story. So now,
and funny is actually part of that story. Let me say this real quick: is that I have pictures. I used to race against them. I have pictures of me where I was in a different car racing against them in the funny car when Alex used to drive it, and then I have pictures of me driving the funny car where I'm racing against the car that I used to drive before. So it's kind of funny how that all works out like that.
Yeah. So the funny car, what was the fastest time you had with that one?
We were running that car in a 760 index class, and so it was. I think we ran it in the low 7s. It was it was a motor built to run in the 760, and again, that car is certified to run much quicker. But they were just racing on a budget also, and trying to hit as many races as they can. They ran in the SIFCA series, the California Independent Funny Car Association that Good Vibration guys run. And so that's our goal with that car, is that we want to run it, and we want to build it for a 7.0 Pro car, and then be able to run it in the Siska stuff, which is a 750 index, and then we could also run it in the Nostalgia Eliminator 1 class, which is 760. So you could just build a 7 car and then put it into one the other classes. So that just gives us a bunch of different races that we could race and not have to travel very far, you know?
Yeah. So let me ask you this question, Gabe. Do you ever have a desire to go nitro?
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to right now. Like, let's go. Let's do it. I'm just, it's just one of those things. It's all about timing and
money,
being at the right place at the right time, and money, of course. I mean, if I had the money, I'd go do it right this second. It's just, I don't have the money to do that. And, if I met somebody that, we kind of also hope that maybe somebody there might be a rich dude out there that just wants to go funny car racing and wants to throw his motor in our car and we can go racing, and that's what we'll do. But I don't know. Of course I want to go nitro racing. That's the dream. And you sit there at the starting line and watch the nitro cars go. And, I just stare at it like I'm a little kid and just think about what it's like to be in one. And, I try to keep I stay friends with these guys that do race the nitro cars, and and I try to pick their brain and stuff. And you just never know. It's just one of those things. It's all about timing, and it's just about timing. And if it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. And if I would do it in a heartbeat, I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I'm pretty confident that one day it'll happen. You just never know. One thing about racing I like, especially like drag racing, is that it's not, you don't have to be a 21-year-old kid to do it. I mean, there's old guys that do it, and they're still doing it. So the opportunity is still out there. Hopefully one day it'll happen,
Yeah, how old is Chris the Greek Karamessinis now?
Right, exactly. That's one of those idols of mine also. I mean, if that guy can do it, and, people always give him crap because he gets bad reaction times, and I always say, he's still out there running the top fuel car, so who cares? He looks like he has a smile on his face every time I see him get out of the car when he loses. So
he loves it.
Right? Exactly. I mean, look at John Force. I mean, how long has that guy been doing it? He's been doing it forever. He still gets out of the car and has the same smile on his face every time.
Then he got Karamessini's granddaughter, Krista, racing now.
Yeah, I would love to have that, bloodline of being able to be handed down to it, but, it also, I think that it'll make you feel better if you earned it. But, on the other end, there's also, I think about it all the time that there's racers out there that, like, even the local guys in town, I'll just name off a few names that on top of my head, like Mike Williams, Jason Barda, Austin and Brendan Fry, Jeff Krager, Jody George, Randy Winkle at the Famosa Mod, Roger Holder does Comod stuff, Rick Langston. Those guys have won way more races than I have. They have done, I feel like they've done so much more as far as winning that who gets to be the one that gets deserved to go up to the next level, but it's just one of those things. You just never know. You never know. I mean, you can get a phone call tomorrow and it could be your lucky day. So I would say yes. I've learned to not. If somebody calls me and asks me if I want to drive, I always say yes. I've done it with the funny car, and I go for those guys. I did it with the Nash, the blown Nash Metropolitan, which is, everybody thought I was crazy for doing that, but I just say yes, because every time you get in somebody else's car and drive something else, you're going to get that much more exposure, and you're going to get that much more experience, and people are going to remember your name. At one point, I think I drove I was driving 3 cars at the same time at the same races where you would, Bobby Cottrell style, you get out of one car, I'd have my in one car and get out of it and just leave it there and get on my pit bike and haul butt down the return road to get to the next car that was in staging lines and ready to go, hop in that thing and run that, and then hop out of that, and then have somebody down there with the golf cart now, and then haul back down to the staging lines and jump in that car, and go back down there and do it again, and just keep running over over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's what Michael Hofstad was originally supposed to do for Marsh Meet.
Yeah, he was going to run 3 cars. I think they had like a death or something, and one of the teams and something like that.
Yeah, the Field Alter team.
Yeah, and Mike's how I got the Nash ride when I was driving that car. He put a post on Facebook. So kind of like I said, you never know when the time's going to come. He put a post on Facebook. And I just happened to be looking at it, and he said, anybody crazy enough to want to drive a blown short wheelbase car? And I was the first person to even respond. I said, I will. And then he sent me a message, and he goes, I knew you would say that. I was thinking of you when you said that, when I put that out there. So I'm going to get you in touch with the guy. I was supposed to drive it, but I'm not going to be able to. So he's going to be at the March Meets. Just bring your bag, bring your gear, and go find this guy. And I was like, okay. So I just drove out there with a bag full of gear and went around and found somebody I'd never met in my life before and walked up and said, hey, my name's Gabe. I guess I'm supposed to drive your car. And that's how we started that. And I drove that for a few years. So it was just a random, just say yes. Always say yes.
Yeah. So now, if you went Nitro, Gabe, would you prefer Fuel Altered or Funny Car? It doesn't matter as long as it's Nitro.
I mean, Fuel Altered's pretty badass. That's pretty badass. That's right up there with like Pro Mod to me. You got to be on your A game to drive that stuff. And I would definitely say yes to that too. But I think a funny car would be the way I'd want to go. But I wouldn't be a beggar or a chooser. I would say yes either way. So, I think a funny car would be the ultimate goal, is to run a fuel funny car.
How about a front engine dragster?
I definitely would drive a front engine dragster. That's no problem. I mean, I would say yes. I'd probably do the same thing. I'd get out there and think, how the hell do I drive this thing? But I would try, for sure.
Yeah. So now, Gabe, for the Fiat, how many crew members do you have, and who are your crew members?
The Fiat, we have this year we have a new crew. You know, my crew chief, Chris Chamberlain. He's an amazing guy, and I have all the faith in the world in him. And then my buddy Kevin Scheibel, and he's helping us out. He's a drag racing. He loves drag racing, and he's all about it. And so he's, hands-on to do whatever. And then this year we acquired his son, Garrett, who's in high school. And I mean, this kid is, it's what we need in life, is kids like that want to jump in there. And, Chris taught him how to index spark plugs, and that's his deal. He's a spark plug guy, and he does whatever else we need him to do. But, he's comes over to the house and helps after school and stays and does whatever I need him to do, helps me load the trailer, helps me do anything I need to do, he helps with, and he just wants to be part of the team, and so that's awesome. And then and our other buddy, Shannon Hutchins, he's helping out. So we kind of went with a smaller crew this year, because it's just, sometimes you get too many people, and it just starts getting in the way, you know what I mean? And don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that, but we're out there to win races. That's what we're trying to do. That's our goal, was to get out there and win races, and even if we don't win, we just want to make sure we go out there and look professional and act professional, and we have a good deal going on. And sometimes, you get too many people out there, and you start looking like you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So currently, do you have any sponsors?
I'll do a shameless plug. We are always looking for more sponsors. If you want to sponsor us, give me a call. But we do have, Big Ben over at DJ Safety. Those guys are top notch, and that guy is awesome. He does whatever you need him to do, and he'll take care of your safety needs. And you can't put a price on safety by any means. And so I put my life, and DJ Safety and Big Ben's hands, because he does the fire suit and the seatbelts and the parachute and the diaper and all those things you need in case something goes wrong. And then Brett over at Clean Boost Performance Motor Oils. He hooks us up with the oil, and I wouldn't run anything else besides that in the car. And I've have some local companies. This battery, A1 battery in Bakersfield, they always give us our because of batteries for the starting batteries and the battery in the car. And there's Mike over Mike's Transmission. He doesn't give us transmissions, but he gives us the best transmission I think you can buy for a Power Glide. And then we got a new sponsor. They're actually up north. This auto body, Fortes Auto Body, Kevin and Debbie, they hooked us up with new tires this year. And so I'll take whatever we can get. Darren Hopkins, Barnes Custom Engines, he built the motor for us, and we're hopefully trying to get some stuff together with him to get the Funny Car going. And he built a great product. And he's out there with an A-Fuel car, I believe he's part of too. So he's right in the middle of racing, and he loves it. And I mean, this guy is coming over to the house, helping us days before the March meets when he has their own stuff to work on. He's still coming over and dropping parts off and helping us out. So that kind of stuff. Our parents, my girlfriend, Bree, she backs me and helps me any way she can. And the guys at Good Vibration, those guys they help us out as far as anything we need. We can call them and ask them any question and help us out with any parts we need. They take care of it. That's for like the Fiat, on the Funny Cars, Scott headers down in Beaumont, builds badass headers. AVI wraps, they wrap the Funny Car. My buddy Brandon Hubbard, South Valley Contractors, he's helped us out as far as storing the cars for us when we need it, and he's got a shop, so he's helped us out as far as getting things that we need, when we need it. And it just takes a whole time to make that, and even if you're running, whether you're running a slow car or a fast car, it takes people, and all those people help us for sure. And then, we have a little clothing line that we started called Black Zip Ties Matter, and so gotta mention Black Zip Ties Matter. Because black zip ties do matter when you're building a race car. Can't use white zip ties; they got to be black zip ties. So that's pretty much all our sponsors right now. We've had some people that help us out too that have passed away. Unfortunately, we still run their company name on the car. That's just out of tribute.
So now, Gabe, besides Bakersfield, what are some of your other favorite tracks to run on?
Well, we run Sacramento, Fontana, Irwindale, Vegas. Before it was the 4 wides, but it was to me Vegas was one of my favorites. I mean, I soft spots for Formosa and Bakersfield, but I got to run in Vegas, and that was awesome. I mean, that place was amazing. Plus, you're in Vegas, so you never have a bad time when you're in Vegas anyway. So, but as far as like facility-wise, I felt like that was like top-notch.
So now,
I look forward to going some other tracks. I'd like to Phoenix. I'd like to go to. I'd like to go to as many as I can. Out there. I would love to race Sonoma. That would be awesome. That's in the wine country. It's beautiful. I'd love to race up there.
Maybe come up to the Midwest someday and race at the legendary Great Lakes Dragway here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, we were actually just talking about doing like the Hot Rod Reunion in Bowling Green maybe next year or the year after, and trekking over for that, and just to do it. I mean, I think they got a covered grandstand. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So now you do 8th mile and quarter mile racing?
Just quarter mile. I've done at Irwindale 8th mile, and I'm not really good at the 8th mile stuff because I don't know when to lift. I just keep going. I actually almost got in trouble there because I was told to lift early because we had a real fast car. I was racing the Nash, and we were at that track. We had a real fast car, and I didn't lift, and ran it out, and their shutoff is weird. It's a weird track. It actually goes down, like the right lane goes in, after you pass the finish line, the lanes merge into one, and then it goes all the way down to the end, and there's actually like a barricade, and you have to go through a 8-feet wide turnout in between two K-rails, and I didn't lift. I just kept going and started hopping and bouncing, and I started to think I was getting ready to wreck somebody's race car, but thank God I didn't.
So now you ready for the fun question portion of the interview now?
Yeah. Let's have some fun, bud.
If someone said, "Here, Gabe, here's $200 million to build me a new drag race track," where would you build the track, and what kind of features would you want to put into the track?
I think that San Diego would be an awesome place to have. I mean, they have Verona down there, but I think that San Diego would be an awesome place to have a racetrack at. I mean, it's beautiful. The weather's like perfect all the time, and at the beach, and it's just a destination place. And I think that you could lined with palm trees and the surfer's paradise for a drag strip. I think that would be really cool. I think that I've always been intrigued with that covered grandstand and Bowling Green. I think that'd be really cool because the fans get out there and you want to make them comfortable, because if you make the fans comfortable, then more come out. So get a covered grandstand would be pretty cool. I would definitely have lots of barbecue stuff. I love barbecuing, so I think that I have plenty of good food and cold beer. And I'll tell you what, we did a race one time with a test and tune, but it was actually a race that was here in Vegas, so it was for a import night. And those guys know how to party, man. Those guys had like a DJ set up, and I was blown away. I mean, they were racing, but they also had like a party, and there's people dancing. Like I've been to the drag strip where we had, Joe Walla and those guys are playing live, the Kings are playing, and everyone's having a good time. But these guys had it's like a nightclub at a drag strip. And I was like, okay, I can do this. This is fun. So, I mean, whatever keeps the fans happy, and the racers all know how to have a good time. So, I mean, the key is just getting the fans out there.
Yeah. So what's your favorite food?
You know what? I could live off of tacos and pasta. I mean, that's pretty much. I like all kinds of food, and I love barbecue food. My parents do barbecue competitions, and they're professional barbecuers, and I eat that a lot. I love barbecuing, but I could literally eat tacos and pasta every night.
Cool. Favorite beverage?
It all changes, but I have this weird kick right now that I like champagne. I mean, I don't know. I just like champagne. I used to drink beer, and I still drink some beer, and maybe make a whiskey drink or something every now and again, or a vodka drink every now and again. But I just kind of like drinking champagne right now. I mean, I don't know if that makes me weird or not, but I don't put it in the fancy champagne glass, so I put it in my own glass.
Okay. So here's the question you're waiting for, Gabe. What's your favorite music?
Well, I definitely like reggae music for sure. That's probably, I don't know. Music is weird. I love all types of music. I was born and raised on country music. My grandpa was a songwriter. My grandma was a performer in country music. My dad always had classic rock playing in the garage. So I loved that. And then when I grew up, I got turned on to heavy metal. I really got into really heavy metal with my stepbrother, and just Megadeth and Pantera, and at the time, when I was age, maybe not as heavy now as it used to be, but whereas things are now. But I really like that kind of stuff, and that's used to what I used to listen to all growing up, as far as getting pumped up. If I had earphones on, I was listening to Pantera, Metallica, something like that, just to get me amped. But now, I mean, I really love reggae music. There's a band, Iration. They're friends of mine. I've got to know them really good and met a bunch of bands through them and through my buddies in Colorado that are really into music and stuff. And so, like, people ask me sometimes when I'm at races and I have my earphones on or I have music playing and I'm in my zone. I've had somebody ask, like, what do you listen to? I got to know what's pumping you up. And I'm like, do you really want to know? And, like, give it to them. And it's like listening to, some beach music, because I've learned that that's what calms me down, actually. Instead of being pumped up and getting amped up, I actually want to get calm. And so it really calms me down. And, and they got good vibes, and they're good people. My buddy Joe D, the drummer of Viration, he's a cool cat, man. Those guys are good guys. If you haven't heard of Viration, listen to them. They're a good band, and they're tour around the nation, and guarantee they're coming to a city near you for sure.
Cool. I'll look them up.
Yeah, Viration. I like some Hawaiians. J Boog. Band called Slightly Stupid. Stick Figure. Those are kind of what I listen to mostly a lot, but I still listen to them. I listen to XM radio, so some days I'm on the hard station. I'm listening to Never Gets Old, listening to Rage Against the Machine or I Prevail or Head PE, something like that. But I also like listening to country and classic rock, and some days I'm listening to pop music. I don't know. It just depends on what mood I'm in at the moment. So,
right.
I just make sure that I don't have the windows down when I'm listening to Taylor Swift or something.
So, you have any hobbies outside of drag racing, Gabe?
I ride motorcycles a lot. I really like riding motorcycles. It's kind of the one thing that I can do that gets me away. I need to just get away. I need to get a release, and I need to be away from my cell phone, and I need to be away from people, and I just need, and it's, we trail ride a lot in the mountains, and, where there's a 100-foot cliff. You're on a trail that's 6 inches long, 100-foot cliff on one side, and you can't make a mistake, and so you get to be really focused and really in tune with the motorcycle and with yourself, and and plus you're in the beautiful scenery, and you go places that you can only get there if you're hiking, horseback riding, or riding a motorcycle or mountain bike or something like that. You just get way deep off the grid, and that's where I like to do that. I definitely like boating. I have a wakeboard boat, and my friends do too, and so we go out on the boat and float around and go wake surfing and wakeboarding, and I like surfing, snowboarding, that kind of stuff. That's kind of the things I'm into. Golf. I like golfing. I'm not good at it, but I like it. I just like driving the golf cart more than anything, but I like golfing. I don't think I'm ready to be a professional golfer by any means, but I definitely like it.
That's cool. Well, Gabe, I want to thank you very much for your time for interview. You have any final words for the fans that are listening right now?
Well, I would definitely like to first say my condolences to the Pfluger family. Steve Pfluger passed away in his funeral today, and a lot of my friends and sponsors and stuff were there for the funeral today. And we're losing a lot of legends, and that guy was definitely a legend. And he's going to be sorely missed at the racetrack. And I know a lot of my friends are sad today because of that. So definitely a big respect out to that. And then I also just got news yesterday of a passing of a guy named Mark Perdome, which is a cousin of Don Perdome, and he used to drive the dragster that Roger Coburn and James Warren, their rear motor top fuel dragster. He drove that for a while, and it was really sad. He was a real good friend of my dad's and stuff, and I was really sad to hear that he passed away. So condolences to their family also. Those are good people and stuff, and I just want to thank everybody that helps me out, and that has faith in me and that believes in me, and and if you want me to drive your race car, all you got to do is come. I'll race it.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Gabe, and good luck at the races this year.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and you guys, hopefully some sunny weather will come your way.
It'll come. It'll be here.
If you ever need to come out and get some, call me. Bakersfield gets hot pretty soon. So.
All right. Thanks again, Gabe.
All right, man.
Have a good night.
Bye.